What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench, guys, for another episode of our 12 Sprues of Kitmas. And yes, I realize it's no longer Christmas and we are moving out of the holiday season. It is the first week of January, but you know what? We only have 2 episodes left, so I want to go ahead and finish them off. Let's go ahead and grab that box and see what we have in store for us today. As you can see, we've completed the first, second, and almost the third rows, just the 2 right here for day 11, and then of course day 12. So just these 2, the last ones here of the series. Let's go ahead and check out what we have in this one right here. Now I have gotten a bit delayed, a lot of family stuff going on, a couple of emergencies going on here, so we haven't been able to really get on this as much as we'd like, but we're getting there, guys. We are getting there. Looks like we're building a Tempest today, so that is pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and grab that kit though and check it out. Now this is an Academy kit. It's a Tempest Mark V, and I don't know much about the Tempest, but I know it's a derivative of the Typhoon. I think it's like the next iteration. So this should be fun. I've built a 148 scale Typhoon, but never a 172nd scale Tempest. So I hope this is going to be pretty fun. Go ahead and just check out the parts and see what we have in our box. Looks like a single poly bag with our clear parts there inside as well. Then we have our instruction manual, and let's see, a couple of warnings and whatnot, and we have our decals. Yep, okay, don't need any of this stuff here. Let's go ahead and dive in here and check out the details. Instructions look pretty similar. Start in the cockpit, move all the way through to the end, so nothing fancy there. And the decals look decent. They look pretty clean, though last time I had some decal issues with the silvering on the clear film. I don't know if that's going to be this way this time, but it's good to kind of keep that in mind. Looking at the parts, I gotta say these look pretty good. Our clear parts are 2-piece bubble canopy, so we should be able to open that and leave it open, which is going to be awesome. And everything else looks pretty standard Academy. Very finely recessed panel lines. We do have some cockpit detail, which is nice. A little under detailed, to be honest, but I still think we can make it work. We've got a couple of, looks like gun ports here on the front of the leading edges of the wings. Recessed panel lines, very finely engraved, I might add. Some good amount of detail, for sure. Looks like we do have some ribbing detail in the wheel wells, which is nice. Might want to come in there and maybe add some cables and whatnot, but I don't know if it'll really be in scale, so maybe not. Maybe we'll just build it as is and just call it a day. So yeah, looks like we have some choices of drop tanks or bombs and the typical rest of the plastic. So I think it looks pretty decent. It should be a fun build. Now in terms of color schemes, we have 2 different versions that we can paint. Looks like both of them have the same dark green, medium sea gray, and ocean gray camo scheme, so nothing too fancy there. And it looks like the only real differences are the colors of the spinners. The Free French version right here has a red spinner, which honestly looks pretty cool. And then the RAF version has a sky-colored spinner. Everything else looks to be pretty much the same in terms of coloring. So it's not really that big of a deal. We can kind of decide on that later on as we progress through the model. Probably going to do the RAF version, but I don't know. So let's get into that time lapse, guys. Get that cockpit all built up. Do some painting. I know the cockpit should be, I think, a 2-tone color with black on the top and that RAF interior green on the bottom. Let's go ahead and get that started. Get your basic assembly going. Get some priming. Get some pre-shade. Let's get this thing all built up, and fingers crossed, this goes together well. All right, let's move on. Let's see what we can do. right, everybody, we are back and we have the aircraft all built up and primed, and we a little bit of pre-shade there with NATO Black. So far, this kit is just really coming together really well. I'm having a blast with this one. It seems to be the Academy kits go together very nicely. The decals sometimes can be a little wonky, but for the most part, the assembly process and the amount of detail you get with these, pretty decent. Very fun kits. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do now is I want to work on the camo patterns. And this is a very typical late war RAF camo scheme. It's got a dark green and it's got a medium sea gray and it's got an ocean gray as well. So I think I have the proper colors for that. It's going to have to be a mix between Vallejo and Gunzy. And also, before we go ahead and start putting down the camo, I wanted to try something a little bit different. I actually saw an online article revolving around building the Edward Tempest, and the guy actually was painting that did a really cool marbling coat underneath, and he actually used a sandy yellow color. And so I'm going to go ahead and try that here. I've got my stencils. I've got my Tamiya Desert Yellow, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of play around with that and see if it doesn't do anything. If it doesn't, oh well, no harm, no foul. If it does, well, we'll add a little bit of character to the paint. So let's go ahead and jump in there, get the marbling coat done, get the camo pattern all painted up, do any sort of detail painting, like for example the yellow on the leading edges, propeller spinner, all that good stuff, and then we'll go ahead and gloss the whole thing and see where we go from there. Let's push on, guys. We are getting there. everybody, we are back, and the Tempest is coming together really well. So far we have everything assembled, we have everything painted, so we've got that two-tone camo scheme up on top. I did a hard-edged line this time, didn't do a freehand, actually cut masks out of blue painter's tape, stuck them down, and airbrushed over top of that. You can kind of see some of the marbling coat. It's a little bit more noticeable on the undersurface of the aircraft, but it is there. Only issue I have so far with the kit is the landing gears. They're a little bit on the wobbly side. Nice and secure attachment into the wing itself, but the gear has a couple of molded in, I guess, shock absorbers or struts or something, and they're just kind of spindly. But I think we're going to be okay. I've got everything nice and secured, so I think we're ready for decals. Now the decals are going to be standard pattern. We've got our micro set, micro sol, got some hot water. Going to grab our brushes, tweezers. We're going to go ahead and stick with the REF version. I think that's going to be a really fun scheme to do. And then after that is all finished up, we'll come in, we'll overcoat it with gloss to protect those decals. And then as we typically do, I'll come in with some AK panel liners, overcoat the entire model, then wiping off the washes and just have some fun with it. Might do a little bit of powder work with some aim weathering powder. Might do a little bit of chipping with some colored pencil, but I'll wait until after the flat coat is applied so that there's something for that colored pencil to bite into. Other than that, guys, we've got a semi-flat coat going on at the very end of the build, and we will be back and I'll show you the finished product. everybody, we are back, and I have to say we have finished our 1/72nd scale Academy Tempest Mark V, and what a great little kit this was to build. So awesome. I'm having the best luck with Academy kits, both this year and last year. They've just really fallen together most of the time. Beautiful fit. Decals can be a little wonky sometimes, a little thick, and sometimes that silvering effect on the clear sections of the decal. But other than that, check it out. We are done with our Tempest. I really like how it turned out. Again, a couple of issues here and there. Mostly the seams were fairly manageable. I do have the decals on. I went ahead and used the decal for the wing walks. I didn't really want to go ahead and paint them. We've got the rondels on there. We've got the yellow markings around the leading edge of the wings. We've got camo up on top and the single color underneath with that sky colored spinner. Went ahead and went with the drop tanks. I saw a reference photo that showed that, so that's what I went with. And yeah, man, this was a great little model. It's going to look awesome there in the display case. Go ahead and give you a close up here and you can check out some of the detail. So again, just to reiterate, this kit went together very, very well. My only issue I had with it was there was a little bit of a seam issue right underneath the chin. There was a little bit of a step right there I had to fix. But other than that, the wings dropped into place. The fuselage and the wings went together beautifully. I did have a little bit of some issue with the landing gears only because the landing gears themselves are a little on the spindly side. They didn't feel as secure. Still sits on its gears nicely, so not much issue there. Now in terms of weathering, I went ahead and I used some AK panel liners for gray and blue. Yeah, I know I've got some green in here, but the majority of the rest of the aircraft are your gray colors. So I figured that worked just fine. Kept it to a minimum, didn't want to go too heavy on that. Did a little bit of chipping with colored pencil on those wing walks, just a tiny bit. Then I added some AIM weathering powder for gun dust and for different streaking here and there on the model. It actually, I think, came together in the end there, so I'm really happy with it. And I think that's going to go ahead and do it for day 11. I got to apologize for being kind of late. One of these days, guys, I will get through the 12 sprues and keep it in the month of December. This, of course, falls outside of December into January with one more build left to go after this, day number 12, and I have no idea when I'm going to pull out of that, but I have my suspicions. But with that being said, guys, I am super happy to have this in my display case. I've been having so much good luck with Academy builds over the last couple of seasons I've done this 12 sprues. Last year I had beautiful Academy kits. This year the Academy kits have been absolutely wonderful. But that's it, guys. Day 11 is in the bag. Day number 12 is coming up next. I hope to have that in a couple of days for everybody. So until then, you guys know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. And we'll see you back here on episode number 12 for the finale of the 12 sprues of Kitmas. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.